Hey, what's up, everybody? It's a bit of a rainy, gloomy Thursday morning. I wanted to talk about hardships and tough times. I think for most of us, 2020's been a brutal year for whatever reason. And it doesn't mean that we can't thrive. I've probably had one of my best years. But it doesn't mean we don't go through some tough things. And I'm working through something pretty brutal right now. The details aren't important. I'm fine. But it's not fun. And, like always, or like a lot of us, I think, I've had my moments of, man, if you're dealing with this thing, if this is an issue for you, should you be a coach? Should you lead? What right do you have as any sort of leader, professionally, within the family, whatever? Why are you qualified to handle that type of a role? And that's, of course, the narrative that we have with ourselves when we're in a tough position, when we're feeling a little bit down. And that's okay. Because as I've talked about many, many times, and I really do genuinely believe it, we are not our thoughts. We are not those ideas or those fears that keep us up at night. We are not the hesitation, the challenges to our worthiness. Those are not real. It's just your brain cranking out options. And the beautiful thing is we get to choose how we want to respond to those things. So while this personal development, personal improvement, always getting better thing, which I'm just going to start to call life, is about getting better. And it is about achieving some level of something that allows us to be content and that we each draw upon as success. It does not mean that we will not have hard times. It does not mean that we will not question ourselves. It does not mean that those same predictable patterns don't come back every now and then, or that the demons that we're all staring down don't from time to time take a round. That's not the goal. The goal is to square your shoulders and to deal with it in an honorable, courageous, brave, compassionate way. The goal is to recognize that our minds and that our egos are going to throw us curveballs. That there are going to be times where we are going to be encouraged by ourselves to pack it in, to call it a day, to crawl into a hole and just wait things out. And the difference between living and simply being an existence here that is otherwise undistinguishable from anything else is how we choose to respond to those things. These moments I find are particularly present during times of transition. As we are about to become something else, we are very vulnerable because we're not quite that new thing yet, but in many ways we are no longer the old thing. And whatever you're transitioning from into something new, there is a period of vulnerability where the old ways are no longer acceptable. The old ways are no longer something that even remotely give us any level of contentness and actually creates violent conflict within ourselves. That's where this fear and anger and anxiety comes from. And in an ironic way, it's compounded, it's made worse by the optimism of the things that are to come. But we have to endure these moments. We have to endure these times of frustration and uncertainty courageously. Sometimes we just have to armor up and go to war on these things. Just do not let the doubt, the fear, the overwhelm, the anxiety, do not let any of that in. Because the vulnerability of changing from something that was to something that will be is necessary. And the goal is to actually see it as much as possible as a positive. That this frustration, that this anger, this anxiety, this whatever it is that you're dealing with right now necessarily has to exist for you to get to the other side. It necessarily has to be in your face. It is going to rage against you wanting to be someone different. Because consistent miserable is more desirable to your mind than unpredictable joy. So, as I work through what I'm working through, and as you work through what you're working through, let's remind each other that these difficult, dark moments are difficult and they are dark, but they are absolutely necessary. And we can only see them because a new dawn is coming, because the sun is peeking over those mountains. And it is just giving us a hint of illumination of what is to come. So eyes forward, march on, face those challenges bravely, courageously. Do not listen to the internal narrative and rhetoric. Just soldier on. And that's all we can do. But remember that it is a positive thing. See it for what it is. And we will be just fine. And the sun will rise. It always does. And new things will come. Have a fantastic day. Take care.